Hollywood studios just spent 3 months negotiating AI usage rights while two tech giants quietly built systems that can now generate footage so realistic that even professional directors are struggling to tell the difference. OpenAI dropped Sora 2 last week with zero warning. Google fired back 48 hours later with Veo 3.1, and the internet basically exploded. But here's what nobody's talking about. One of these models can already do something that's going to completely reshape how content gets made, and the other one might have just made traditional filmmaking obsolete for an entire category of creators. So let's talk about it, because this isn't just a tech flex. This is the moment everything changes. Sora 2 launched with a feature called temporal consistency, and if you don't know what that means, you're about to. Earlier versions of AI video had this annoying problem where a character's face would morph between frames, or a car would suddenly change color halfway through a shot. It looked cool for 3 seconds, then fell apart. Sora 2 fixed that. Now you can generate a 60-second clip of someone walking through a city, and their jacket stays the same color, their face doesn't melt, and the background doesn't randomly shift from day to night. That's massive. But it gets better. They added what they're calling director mode. You can specify camera angles, lighting conditions, even the emotional tone of a scene. Want a slow dolly zoom with golden hour lighting and a melancholic vibe? Just type it. The model interprets your intention and builds the shot accordingly. Independent filmmakers are already testing this for pre-visualization, which traditionally requires hiring a whole crew and renting equipment. Now it's just a prompt. But before you think OpenAI just won the entire race, Google showed up with Veo 3.1 and did something different. Instead of focusing purely on cinematic polish, they went after real-world utility. Veo 3.1 is built to integrate with existing production pipelines. That means it can take footage you've already shot, analyze it, and generate matching supplemental shots. Let's say you filmed an interview, but forgot to grab B-roll of the city skyline. Veo can generate that skyline shot in the same lighting, same weather conditions, same time of day. It's not replacing your footage, it's filling the gaps. And for editors working under brutal deadlines, that's not just convenient, that's game-changing. Now here's where this gets controversial. Both models were trained on massive data sets that include copyrighted content. We're talking movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, stock footage, everything. The companies claim they've filtered out direct copyrighted material, but the models clearly learned cinematic techniques, framing, and visual storytelling from professional content. That's the gray area everyone's arguing about. If an AI learns to shoot like Roger Deakins because it analyzed his work, is that theft? Or is that just how learning works? The legal system has no clear answer yet, and Hollywood is furious. The Directors Guild already released a statement calling these tools a direct threat to creative labor, and they're not wrong to be concerned. But the counter-argument from the tech side is brutal. They're saying, this is no different than a film student watching Blade Runner 2049 100 times to learn composition. The AI just happens to be faster at it. Let's get into the specs, because this is where the technical differences really matter. Sora 2 runs on a diffusion-based architecture, which is basically the same foundation that powers image generators like Midjourney and DALL-E. It predicts what each frame should look like based on the frames before it, smoothing out inconsistencies over time. The result is footage that feels cinematic but sometimes lacks the rawness of real video. There's a slight glossiness to everything, like it's been color graded even when you didn't ask for that. Veo 3.1 uses a different approach. It's built on what Google calls a latent space transformer model, which sounds complicated but basically means it's better at understanding the physics of motion. Objects move more naturally. Shadows fall correctly. Water behaves like water instead of morphing into abstract shapes halfway through the clip. The trade-off is that Veo takes longer to render. Sora can spit out a clip in under 2 minutes. Veo sometimes takes 5 or 6. For social media creators, that speed difference matters. But speed isn't everything, because while Sora 2 is fast, it's also restricted. OpenAI is still running this through a waitlist system, and even if you get access, you're limited to 50 clips per month unless you're on the enterprise plan, which costs a fortune. Google, on the other hand, is rolling Veo 3.1 out through Google Labs with a much more generous free tier. You can generate up to 200 clips per month right now, and they're not filtering access nearly as hard. That's a strategic move. Google knows that if they can get creators hooked on Veo before Sora opens up to everyone, they win the adoption war. And adoption is everything in AI. The model that becomes the default is the model that sets the standard. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Is this actually going to replace Hollywood? The short answer is no, not yet. But the long answer is way more complicated. High-budget filmmaking isn't going anywhere because audiences still crave the spectacle of practical effects, real actors, and the craftsmanship of experienced directors. But mid-budget content, the kind of stuff that fills streaming platforms, that's vulnerable. Think about how many reality TV shows, docuseries, and low-budget dramas are produced every year. A lot of that content doesn't need A-list talent or massive sets. It just needs to be competent, visually appealing, and cheap to make. AI video tools can absolutely deliver that. And for creators working on YouTube, TikTok, or Instagram, this is a goldmine. You can now produce content that looks like it had a 5-figure budget without spending a dime on equipment or crew. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. Early adopters are already reporting that both Sora 2 and Veo 3.1 struggle with one specific thing: hands. Yeah, we thought that problem was solved after image generators finally figured out fingers, but video is a whole different beast. When a character reaches for something or gestures while talking, the hand movements still glitch out about 30% of the time. Fingers merge, thumbs appear where they shouldn't, and sometimes an extra hand just materializes out of nowhere. It's the uncanny valley moment that breaks immersion instantly. Both OpenAI and Google are aware of this, and they're working on fixes, but it's a reminder that we're still in the early stages of this tech. It's powerful, but it's not flawless. And that brings us to the bigger question: who's actually using this stuff right now? Because the hype is massive, but the practical use cases are still being figured out. Indie filmmakers are experimenting with it for storyboarding and concept pitches. Marketing agencies are using it to generate product demos without hiring videographers. Educational content creators are building explainer videos that used to require animation teams. Even real estate agents are generating virtual property tours from still photos. The applications are all over the map, and that's exactly what the companies want. They're not targeting one specific industry, they're building a general-purpose tool and letting the market decide how to use it. That's the Silicon Valley playbook. Build it fast, scale it hard, and figure out the consequences later. Speaking of consequences, the ethics conversation is just getting started. Because while these tools are incredibly powerful, they're also incredibly easy to misuse. Deepfakes are the obvious concern, but there's a subtler issue too. What happens when anyone can generate professional-looking footage without any accountability? We're already seeing fake news clips spreading on social media that were made with older AI video tools. Sora 2 and Veo 3.1 are so much better that the average person won't be able to tell the difference between real and generated content. Both companies claim they're building watermarking systems to flag AI-generated videos, but those systems can be stripped out with basic editing tools. The technology is moving faster than the safeguards, and that's a problem we're going to have to deal with whether we like it or not. Now, let's flip the script for a second. What if Hollywood isn't the victim here? What if the real threat isn't to directors and cinematographers, but to the entire concept of content scarcity? For decades, the entertainment industry controlled distribution. You couldn't make a movie without studio backing, and you couldn't reach an audience without a network deal or a theater release. That model is already crumbling thanks to platforms like YouTube and TikTok, but AI video tools are about to finish the job. Because when anyone with an internet connection can generate broadcast-quality content, the supply of video explodes. And when supply explodes, the value of any individual piece of content drops. That's basic economics, which means the creators who win in this new era won't be the ones with the best equipment or the biggest budgets. It'll be the ones with the best ideas and the sharpest understanding of audience psychology. And that's where things get interesting, because both Sora 2 and Veo 3.1 are still tools. They don't write scripts. They don't understand narrative structure. They don't know how to hook a viewer in the first 5 seconds or build tension across a 3-act structure. A human still has to direct the AI, and that creative direction is where the real skill lives. So maybe the future of content creation isn't humans versus AI. Maybe it's humans using AI as a superpower, amplifying their creative output without replacing the core of what makes storytelling compelling. That's the optimistic take anyway. The pessimistic take is that the market gets flooded with so much mediocre AI-generated content that audiences stop caring altogether. Both futures are possible. We just don't know which one we're heading toward yet. Alright, so where does this leave us? Sora 2 is faster, more cinematic, and better for creators who want polished, high-concept visuals. Veo 3.1 is more practical, better at real-world integration, and more accessible to the average user. Neither one is perfect, but both are good enough to fundamentally change how content gets made. The question isn't whether AI video tools are the future, they already are. The question is how fast the rest of the world catches up, and whether the systems we build around these tools protect creators or exploit them. Because right now, we're in the Wild West phase. The rules haven't been written yet, and the people shaping those rules are the same tech companies that built the tools in the first place. So yeah, Hollywood should be worried. But not because AI is going to replace directors, it's because the entire content creation ecosystem is shifting, and the old gatekeepers don't control the gates anymore. Anyone with a laptop and a decent idea can now compete with a studio, and that's either the most democratizing moment in creative history or the beginning of a race to the bottom. Probably both. If you made it this far, drop a comment and let me know which model you think is better, Sora 2 or Veo 3.1. And if you're already using either of these tools, I want to hear what you're building with them. The next video is going to blow your mind, because we're diving into the AI tool that's quietly replacing entire marketing departments, and the companies using it are making millions while their competitors have no idea it even exists. You need to see this. Don't miss it.